Hicks. Thank you for your time today. Greg and I are doing what we call the Green Tour. We started out up in New York, Memphis, over to Atlanta, Jacksonville, Deerfield Beach, Fort Myers, and here we are today. And there's a reason you may wonder why two companies, different companies, are traveling together. When we started this company, we were using the term green products, but a lot of people didn't understand what green products meant, and it didn't have the right connotation. We kind of dropped off using that term. A couple of years ago, I ran into Greg, and he was promoting green products, and I said, yes. And he was explaining what green products are. They're safe products, they're natural products. And so I'm a green product. So I just wanted, the background is green. My name is Charlie Hicks. And I wanted to kind of explain to you what my product does. So when a customer calls in here, and it may be the actual end user, it may be the operator that calls in here, but anyhow, they see something, and this is the pain they see. This is damage that these animals that we deter cause. Basically, we deter anything that burrows in the ground, deer, rabbits, and soon to be rats. But this is a mole problem, and here's another mole problem. That's an armadillo problem. Here's some mold problem. People don't want to see this in their lawn. This is a golf course. That's about 2 to maybe 3 months healing time to heal that green from a mole running across it. Here's some more mold problems. Armadillo, mole. You can just see the different situations that people spend time and money preparing their lawn, and all of a sudden an animal comes in overnight and destroys it, and that's why they call. So I want to show you is how do we solve this problem from pain to some gain, and give you the goal that we had when we developed our products. We were looking at the animal's habitat, its behavior, its food sources, and we wanted to have an all-natural ingredient product. Everything that we make has to have a natural product. We don't use any man-made, harsh man-made chemicals. But we want it to be safe for people, for pets. We want it to be safe for the environment. And we want to use the animal's own senses to deter itself for a longer period of time. So that was kind of an encompassing goal that we had for our products. And here's some features about it. It's a dry pellet, like a fertilizer, but you broadcast it like a fertilizer. It's 100% all natural products. It's completely safe for humans, for household pets, and even the environment, the plants in their yard. It's easy to apply. You simply broadcast it with a broadcast spreader. It's fast acting. Within days, it starts acting. Once it's activated, it moves into the soil. It's one of the longest lasting products on the market, and I'll show you why it is in a moment. And you can have confidence, the operator who's applied this, they can have confidence that what they're trying to do is effective and it's safe. If they were to go to apply it to a lawn that has children and pets there, it's a safe product to apply. So it's worry-free, and we guarantee it. It's a safe product. It's a green product. So when someone asked me recently why I guarantee my product at Yard Guard works and I offer money back. And there's an old saying, someone said a long time ago, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I handed them this picture of a golf course. I said, you take a look at this. This is a picture of a golf course. It's in Florida. And I was out there doing a study on another animal, and the greenskeeper said, hey, look at these tee boxes for me. So I did, and that's what it looked like. It was like walking across marshmallows. If you've ever seen mold damage, that's severe mold damage. We treated it one time that day, and then this was, actually the photograph says 30 days, but it was 15 days later we were out there again to check, and we took this picture, completely smooth. The moles were gone. So before and after, our product truly works. And this is 6 months later. This is the same photos you just saw. That one's made 6 months. We've made them a year later. Animal's still gone. Our product doesn't last a year, but if you can get rid of the animal, that particular animal is conditioned to leave. So, I'll show you another animal. You have them down here in Florida. Some states don't have them, but in the South we do have them. It's called the armadillo. This is typical armadillo damage. They smell a grub or a worm and they just dig for it, rip up a lawn. I've circled this water stand in the background just to show you. We treated that one time. That was 30 days later, same water stand, the armadillos are gone. Now, the customer that owned the home, he did fertilize his lawn. We didn't do that, but we got rid of the armadillos within 30 days. So before and after. So these are some of the animals that we deter, and deer, rabbits, and then we'll be coming out soon. I'm working on a rat deterrent. Here's some of the packaging that you see, Gard products. So how does it work? You have animals that forage from the surface down, such as the armadillo or gophers or that type of animal. They forage from the surface, they go down and then find the grub and they destroy the lawn while they're doing it. And then you have animals that forage from down below the ground, they forage towards the surface. And while I got this screen up here, let me just show you. This is about a mole right here. You see moles in two ways. You see the vibration causes dirt to fall into their tunnels down there. And so they will clean out their tunnels and push it to the surface in a short tunnel, and that makes your molehill. The other way you see them is they chase after a grub or a worm, and they're running right out of the surface of the grass, and they break the roots, and it leaves that brown mark streak through the lawn. Now, moles will share their runways, but they'll fight for their surface area. But this area over here depicts applying our product. It's granular. You apply it, you water it. There's an ingredient in there that causes the oils to move downward into the soil. Depending on the type of soil, it'll go down. We've had it tested down to 2 foot deep, so the ingredients will get down there. So what we're doing is we're creating a barrier that goes from the surface downward about 1 foot or 2 foot deep, and we have objectively shown the animal will not come up through that zone. So out of sight, out of mind. Moles are everywhere. And this is our principle. This is the scientific principle behind how our product works. It's called operative conditioning. There was a Russian scientist named Ivan Pavlov, and he was doing an experiment with dogs to see how much saliva they produced. So what he would do, he would present food to these dogs and ring a bell, and they would come and they'd eat the food and they'd salivate. So he'd ring the bell, they'd come eat the food, salivate. So then he would just ring the bell and the dogs would come and there'd be no food there, but they would still salivate. That's operant conditioning. Wild animals don't reason or think, they react, and so they're reacting to the bells for survival. They hear the bell, that's something that there's going to be food there, but there wasn't, but yet they still salivated. And this is just a graph. I just want to show you this real fast. Like, if you add something, then you can either add it to reinforce it or punish it. If you were to add something to a field like corn, that's baiting a field. You call the animal in, so that animal knows, hey, that field's got food in there, so it's coming. But here's what we use. We call it a punisher. We put ingredients into the soil that causes the animal to avoid that area. And we use it using their sense of smell and sense of taste. So this is just it. We add something, there's a punisher, and they avoid the area. We use their sense of smell and taste. And so how do we get the stimulus or punishers into the soil? Herein comes our product. We use pellets. If you open the package of Yard Guard, you'll see it's pellets. And this was a photograph of the pellets lying on the soil. We just wanted to depict how it looked. And that was before watering, but this is after watering for 24 hours later. You see the ingredients are spreading out away from the pellet. And then a week later, the ingredients have spread all over the whole lawn, and so it's spreading out. And this was this to show that it goes in depth. This was actually ingredient laying across there, and it was watered. This is 1 foot from here to here. So the ingredients not only spread out horizontally, vertically it spreads downward. So we're creating that barrier in the soil that the animal, whether they're foraging from the surface down are coming from below the ground upward, they hit that area, they avoid it. So, Greg, I'm missing my slide there. You know, I have a slide in here. It's a microscopic slide. It shows and I don't know how to get it up here. What it shows is one pellet of yard guard on a glass slide under a microscope. One drop of water to it, and you see globules of oil coming out of that stone, and they keep coming out. Now that's just one little pellet, but animals have keen sense of smell and taste. So when you spread it over the lawn and you water it, that's what's happening. The globules are coming out of the pellet and going down into the soil. That's our delivery system. We did all of our studies for 100 days. There were double-blind studies. There was a formula. A number was applied to the container. It was a team going out and applying it. All they knew was a number, and they recorded it for 100 days. Basically, we got homeowners to agree to let us evaluate it on their lawn. And so we would go out and we would evaluate how many marks on the ground, whether it be a molehill or a run. It was recorded, and then the lawn was raked over and tapped down, and the ingredients was applied, the product was applied, water was applied, and then so the next day they'd go out and they would record the activity, the marks, and then they would rake it over and tap it down. And we'd do it each day so that we knew it's like racing the blackboard, and you could tell if there was new activity each day. So that's how we were able to grade it, these graphs. Now, in doing our evaluation, let me explain this. We had some negative areas, positive areas, and test area. Test area only had the formulas in it. The negative and the positive had no formula. So there was no activity. It's just a straight line. They didn't record any activity. And this is a positive area, and we wanted to make sure the animal was in the area, so no ingredients or anything was applied. And this is activity, and this is time, goes out to 100 days. This told us the animal was in that area for 100 days that we were doing our evaluation. Then we had test areas where our formulas were applied, and this is our this is our Armadillo product. You can see there was a lot of activity, there was water, and each day they came out and you can see this is a week later. The activity drops off, basically 100 days, the animal is gone. This was our mole, a lot of activity, watered it, about a week later, the animal is gone. Now we see little outliers here. An animal may come along and stick his nose into the soil, and they would see it and they would record it. And this is a multi-animal. You see a lot of activity, and basically they're gone. And our deer product, this is the foraging damage done. The deer forage, they eat up the vegetation, and pretty soon there's nothing to eat. And you see the graphs of the different principles. This would be ours right here. Basically the animal avoids the area. So I wondered how our product was comparing against things on the market. So I went to a local retail store, big box store, and I asked them, what's your leading brand for moles? And so they would tell me what they had. And so I bought a couple of boxes. And you can see, they would, basically I went past one there, let's see if I can, okay. The spikes mean activity. So this was from 0 days to 100 days. They had no idea what it was just a number. But you can see this was a leading brand. The animal never left the area. You can see the activity. We didn't know it till after it was over. Then we broke the code to see what product that was. Here's another leading brand. The animal never left the area. So I was wondering how we would stack up against other brands. I thought we did fairly well. So this again was the control area. And that's our bag for the mole product. Let me just tell you a little bit about moles. Moles in the U.S., we did a 2-year study on the animal to just understand it. And in there we studied their habitat, just everything we could about the animal, their physical characteristics, foraging habits, the lifespans, the effect on the humans, what effects humans had on the animal. And so we found that all this activity of the moles, they had a short gestation period, and the Americans in the U.S. here, we have a propensity to have a nice looking lawn. So we found this was making the animal a pest because they were tearing up the lawns, causing destruction in the lawns. In 1989, Drs. Yates and Peterson, University of New Mexico, did a study, and they determined there's 7 different species of moles in the U.S. Here on the East Coast of the U.S., we have the eastern mole, the hairy-tailed mole, and star-nosed mole. These 3 kinds of guys are on the East Coast. And then these other 4 are on the West Coast of the U.S. So between 7 of the species of moles, we have a lot of damage being done in the U.S. Here's what the eastern mole looks like. There's his habitat. You can see covers this area here. The star-nosed mole, you can see where he goes. He's even been reported to be down into Florida. And then the hairy-tail, he's in New England down to the Appalachian. And then we have the American shrew. Basically, Washington State, Oregon, and California. Coastal Washington State, Oregon, and California. Same thing for this guy, Washington State, Oregon.
I think we've had some shrews in this area too.
Huh?
I think there's been some shrews
In this area?
And up in Delaware too.
This was their report, so I'm using their data here. And then the broadfoot, he goes same thing. He's the whole West Coast. So we got moles all over the world. They are a pest. So with these different species and the animal's short gestation period, as I said, they're populating. They're everywhere. So what we're showing is a safe way to be rid of the moles. Again, some of the damage that you see with moles streaking the lawn, that's our golf course that we had over in DeLand, Florida, the Mole Hills. So it's unsightly, the damage that they do. And basically, so that's our packaging for mole. Also, while I'm talking about packaging, we switched over to a bucket. Back when it was Residex, we met in Orlando, and everyone suggested they would like to have a bucket. So this is a 20-pound bucket of the product.
Instead of the bags, or both ways?
We still have the
We
bags.
still have bags.
So,
Yeah, but that's the technician, that's the best.
so
way
we
to
have both. And just a brief word about the armadillo. He's not native to the U.S. He came up out of South America, up through Mexico in the 1800s, early 1800s. It was reported in Texas. Someone brought a couple over to Florida to evaluate them. I don't know what they were doing with them. They turned them loose. So now we have armadillos, basically in the southeast. So armadillos are destructive little critters. They're cute little critters, but they can play havoc on the lawn overnight. And the only species we have here is the 9-banded armadillo, and it's the only one in the U.S. Now, I don't normally, like I said, this is just saying they're everywhere from Argentina to the Caribbean. The armadillo is present now. We caught this guy. We were going to make a commercial. I tell this little story. We were going to make a commercial, and we had the camera set up, and it had him in a cage. It was something about him running, so we knew he would run when we turned him loose. But one of the crew walked in front of the camera and stood in front of the camera, and he took off to the bushes, and he didn't come back, as I say, for a retake. He was gone. But we followed him over to the bushes, and there he was, when he started digging, he was totally out of sight within 15 minutes. So they are a digging machine. They can be a burrow under your house overnight. So I put this in here, and it's interesting. People say, don't they carry leprosy? Leprosy is called a Hansen's disease, and they do carry it because the armadillo has a low body temperature, and that's where leprosy thrives, is in low temperature. And people with leprosy, it affects their nose, the extremities where it's low temperature. So that's why these animals will carry it. And they did a study, and they proved it's the same bacillus in the armadillo that's in the humans. And last year, there were 9 cases of leprosy reported in Volusia County, and every one of them had touched an armadillo. Now, this is not a scare tactic, it's just, I wouldn't want one under my house. Now, in biblical days, leprosy was a death sentence. Today, they have antibiotic cocktails and there's a cure for leprosy, but it's still about a 6-month treatment period, I understand. So, armadillos are an animal, a lot of people are not concerned about them, but they are everywhere. And it's in the map that you saw, and they are very destructive. Here's what they look like under a house, under an air conditioner, under plants. They can smell a grub 6 inches underground, and then when they smell it, they dig for it, and there at the end is the damage. This is, you can see, you smell the grub or something, you just throw in dirt everywhere. And I'm just running through these to show you some of the damage caused by an armadillo. And they're the animal that forages from the surface downward. And they'll have a den, usually 30 feet back from the entrance, you'll find them. Again, our graft of the armadillo deterrent, and you can see within a week or so, it's deterring the animal, and out to 100 days, the animal is gone. Again, damage, 30 days later. And just some of the, just some of the animals that we do deter. The vole, you can see some of the damage that he does. He runs through right on the surface. He'll mark up the lawn. We have squirrels. We repel squirrels. We do chipmunks. We can repel chipmunks. We can repel groundhogs. This is a kind of a hard animal to repel. They're larger, but we do repel them. I'll show you a graph in just a second. And skunks, up in Canada, you can't use harsh chemicals on a skunk, and they are a serious problem up there. So, and we have gophers. I said groundhogs, the gophers. We did this is at golf course. I was doing a study, and we were out looking at these gophers, and that's when the greenskeeper said, look at the tee boxes with the mold. That's a typical mound of the gopher, and that's a golf ball just to give you the size. They were all over the place, but we chose this area. There were a lot of mounds. Every red dot represents one of these mounds. They were all through here. You can see the bunkers that were in there, and we treated it. And then 30 days later, there were no animals in this. They had moved off into the woods. There was a wooded area up there, so they had moved off. And deer, and I'm running through it, and rabbits. There's a lot of, anything that burrows in the ground, we can basically do it. Any questions?
Yeah, I know, I'm from North Carolina, so I know it's illegal to kill molds there.
It is illegal.
So this product would be like off the charts because of being illegal.
I have heard they're declared endangered
It's
species.
species in North Carolina.
And how they know, I don't know. I'm not challenging that, and it's only.
Well, I only know because I work for Target and my yard was covered.
Yeah.
And they said, you can't legally kill them.
Our product does not kill them.
Right.
It
which
is
would
a
be
safe.
great
It is
product.
safe product even for the pest animal that you have.
Yeah.
It's safe for children, safe for household pets, but it will deter the animals. I have some literature I'll leave here with you. I have a brochure. I just want to show you this real fast. If you're talking to somebody that comes in, it gives you some graphs here of the armadillo, the mole, the competitors. And here's the graph I was showing you about how the product works. So I'll leave you some brochures. I'll leave you one of these shelf talkers. I'm going to leave you a photograph just as a reminder of the photo I showed you, the before and after. That the product does work. Also, for if you're dealing with customers, you're an inside sales type person, here's some feature benefit type chart for you. If someone comes in and they say, I want something that's does not have, I don't have to notify my neighbor that I got it. So it saves some time and manpower, and it's all natural ingredients. So here's the features. There's about 5 key features of the product. But it gives you the objectives that the customer may be wanting to obtain or the benefits they will receive. So this is just for you to have as when you're on the phone with somebody or they come in and they ask you, do you have anything? It's a feature benefit chart.